Now, an Emeritus Newsbrief, I'm Lynn Huston. Members of a House Senate Conference Committee have agreed to a final version of the economic stimulus bill. The Conference Committee met Wednesday evening to finalize the deal, and now it must head back to both houses for a vote before the end of business Friday. President Obama says he will sign it. Details of the Conference Committee agreement include $789 billion for the total package, including $150 billion for infrastructure and transportation. $70 billion for eliminating the alternative minimum tax for middle-class families in 2009. But the deal cuts $35 billion out of the original proposal in aid to states, as well as $16 billion for school construction and health care subsidies for the unemployed. Bank executives from Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup promised they would put a hold on all foreclosures for 3 weeks to give the Treasury Department more time to put their troubled homeowner program in place. The promise came during a hearing of the House Financial Services Committee. The execs got an earful from angry committee members.
The first $254 billion of TARP money was invested, and all parties announced that this was at par, that the Treasury was getting securities worth as much as the Treasury was investing. The Congressional Oversight Panel last Friday distributed this chart, which is behind me, which shows that the taxpayers were screwed to the tune of $78 billion, much of it by the firms represented here. I'd like you to raise your hand if you plan to suggest to your board of directors that they issue additional preferred shares and warrants to the taxpayer to fully compensate for the shortfall demonstrated by the Congressional Oversight Panel. Let the record show no hands went up, and that all the witnesses are content to leave a situation where the taxpayers have been compensated to the tune of $78 billion. I'll ask the gentleman from Citibank particularly. You received $45 billion in cash. It's been demonstrated, I think, conclusively by the Congressional Oversight Panel that you only delivered securities, preferred stock, and warrants with a value of $25.5 billion, shorting us to the tune of $19.5 billion. Are you content to just sit there and say, sorry, we gave you too little securities, we're happy that we gave you so little, and we're not going to give you more? Now, before you answer, don't tell me that the securities could go up in value and could be worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Trust me, you know, if I sold you General Motors stock today for $10 a share, you'd call that an unfair transaction because the market says today it's worth about $3. So why are you unwilling to issue additional securities to make the taxpayers fully compensated?
Congressman, I haven't looked at this analysis. Would like to look at the numbers, and I haven't done that. I don't know where these exactly where all these numbers come from, but
that comes from the Congressional Oversight Panel and the hearings of last week.
I appreciate it. I can also tell you what you asked me not to do, I am, because ultimately my goal is to make this an extremely profitable investment for the U.S. government. I plan to pay it back. In the meantime, we're paying $3.4 billion annually as dividends on this investment.
Earlier in the day, this letter from New York State Attorney General Andrew Cuomo informed Committee Chairman Barney Frank that Merrill Lynch had awarded more than $3.6 billion in bonuses last year. This despite losing $27 billion in all of 2008 before its shotgun marriage to Bank of America. See the Cuomo letter on the Emeritus News Financial Pensions page. And another rough day at a congressional hearing for top executives of Peanut Corporation of America. The company is linked to the nationwide outbreak of salmonella in its peanut butter paste that was sold to processors and distributors nationwide.
In this container are products that have your ingredients in them, some of which were on the recall list, some of which are probably contaminated. It seems like from what we've read, you were willing to send out that peanut base went into these ingredients. And I just wonder, would either of you be willing to take the lid off and eat any of these products now? Like the people who on the panel ahead of you, their relatives, their loved ones did?
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, on the advice of my counsel, I respectfully decline to answer your question based on the protection afforded me under the United States Constitution.
Mr. Lightsey?
At this time, on advice of counsel, I exercise my rights, Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
They were excused from the hearing when it was clear they were going to plead the Fifth Amendment to any questions.
You're dismissed.
Evidence is mounting that Peanut Corporation of America lied about salmonella showing up in 12 lab tests at their Georgia plant back in 2007 and 2008. The company and its executives are now in the middle of a criminal investigation. And GM retirees who are under the age of 65 and on Medicare will likely lose their GM healthcare benefits. It's part of an effort to show Congress they're cutting costs as part of the bailout agreement. Just last week, GM spinoff Delphi asked a bankruptcy judge to allow it to cut health care benefits to retirees. So far, no decision on that one. Keep up with the biggest issues in public policy at emeritusnews.com. That's an Emeritus News Brief. I'm Lynn Huston.